I want to thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. I have been listening pretty much most of the day and have been just absolutely floored by the extremely dynamic level of speakers and content. So it's great to be here with you. So today, next slide, please. So today I want to share with you a couple of things. One, I want to give you some insight on what the YMCA is really all about. Small hint to you, it's not just swim and gym. Two, I want to talk about what I think are some of the kind of the main 8 principles around building a resilient partnership. I want to share a couple of case studies, and I would like to offer an invitation. So the picture that you see on your screen is a group of young people coming together to fight for climate justice. Now, by show of digital hand, raise your hand if you thought YMCA was only about swim and gym or maybe affordable youth hostels. Right. It's a big shock to a lot of people. It's one of the most fun parts of my job to get to explain what the YMCA is actually really all about. Next slide. So you might be surprised to find out that the YMCA, previous slide please, we actually are focused on working for peace, justice, and for a better world for all through youth empowerment. Previous slide please. We are actually so pleased to know that through our partnership with Salesforce, we were able to understand that the work we do across the world, the YMCA, actually contributes to all 17 of the Sustainable Development Goals. Next slide, please. So YMCA is thank you. So YMCA is focused on a few key core topics that we actually got from young people through a massive research study across the YMCA movement. We focus on building partnerships around health for young people, particularly mental health. We focus on employment, entrepreneurship, the future of work for young people, the climate crisis, civic engagement, and inclusion. Next slide. So I like to previous slide. So I'd like to share with you that YMCA has been around for 175 years. We actually celebrated our anniversary last year, and Christine was one of the rock star keynotes. YMCA, previous slide please. YMCA is a Christian organization built on Christian values, but we actually are very open and inclusive to everybody around the world. And one thing I like to share is that we reach 65 million people. So we are truly an open and inclusive movement. Next slide. Some myths that people might be surprised to know is that YMCA our membership is about 50% women. And again, I mentioned that we're an inclusive, safe space for everybody of all religions, all creeds, all faiths are welcome. And that some people are super shocked to know that the president of YMCA is a woman. That's Patricia Pelton, who is our fabulous president. Next slide, please. Great. So in preparing for this talk today, I thought about, for me, what makes a resilient partnership. And of course, it's very relevant in these times. And I did reach out to consult with a couple of my mentors and my boss. And what my main takeaway is that building a resilient partnership is really an art. But I'll share with you my top 8 sort of points that I start with. 1 is to co-create from the very beginning. 2 is to ensure that you have shared values. 3 is to ensure that you have a shared vision of how you're going to get to the outcome, but be flexible on, because you know that outcome, that the how will change and how you get to that outcome. 4 is to deliver what you promise. The 5th way to build resilient partnerships is to communicate early and often. The 6th way is to be authentic. 7th way is to be open and be flexible when your partner's priorities have changed. And I think really my most important tip is to build a resilient partnership is to take time to really, really understand what your partner's priorities are. And this will enable you to build trust, because you will be co-creating a partnership from a place that will help them reach their goals and help you together. Next slide. So I want to share a quick case study. One of my case studies that I love to talk about is in a partnership with Christine's organization and Einstein's organization, the Africa Future Summit series that led to the Ghana Tech Summit, which is a very iconic event in Africa. And what happened was we had a partnership based on providing content to each other, providing keynote speakers, some visibility, things like that. And in talking with our partnership with Christine and Einstein, we realized that they needed space, they needed location to hold some of their summits. And typically this would be a very expensive affair, hiring out 5-star hotels in capital cities, which would be very, very expensive, and a lot of logistics planning. And so what we decided to do together, based on our mutual trust that we had developed over the time of working together, was to actually convert 6 YMCAs in capital cities across Africa, from Cape Town to Addis Ababa to Nairobi to Ghana, into beautiful settings to hold really great meetings with entrepreneurs, media, ambassadors, and the like. And it was a fantastic experience for all involved, particularly for our young people who got to really learn and watch and be involved at a level they would have never gotten had they just gotten a ticket to an event. Next slide. So the second case study that I want to talk with you about today is what our YMCA is doing to respond to the COVID crisis and how our partners helping us with that. So some visuals up on the slides for you are up to the minute visuals. YMCAs in Detroit are offering free meals for anybody who would need it through Drive Up. And I want to stress that YMCAs are really suffering, particularly in North America and Europe. And Asia, there's been a lot of closures. There's forced by the governments, rightly so. A lot of staff have been laid off for an indeterminate amount of time, but even still, YMCA is rising to the occasion. As I mentioned earlier, we're a 175-year-old organization, and we have mobilized for many events over the years: World War I, World War II, the Ebola pandemic, and now this. So you can count on YMCAs to step up, even though we are suffering ourselves. So just some few examples. In South Korea, YMCAs raise money to ensure that North Korean citizens had access to face masks and sanitizer. In Germany, YMCAs are collaborating with the Scouts and other secular organizations to ensure that elderly people have somebody to do their grocery shopping for them. YMCAs all across Canada and the United States are open to provide emergency childcare for first responders and health workers that is so desperately needed, even in this time of crisis. YMCA Italy has taken a whole curriculum and put it online to keep young people entertained and help them with their homework. YMCAs in Madagascar, young people are out delivering hand sanitizer and masks to people who need it. And I can go on and on and on. And I'm, really here to tell you that we could not do this without our long-standing and resilient partnerships from everybody from local municipal governments to national governments, ministries of health, the United Nations, corporate partners, philanthropists who believe in the YMCA and know that we will be there even in this crisis, even though we are suffering ourselves. Next slide. So I have an invitation to offer to all of you, which is, this is a time of suffering. We can't deny that, but it is also a time of overcoming it. So if you can support your local YMCA, that's my first call. I think that YMCAs all over the world can use volunteers, and they've found ways to do it in a safe manner. If you are an organization that can help YMCA expand our capacity to serve more young people, and empower more young people to address this crisis, please do be in touch with me. And if you are somebody who needs support, you should reach out to your YMCA and see how they can potentially assist you in a partnership, maybe through providing drive up food or through helping to deliver masks. This is a time where we all need to come together.